Let's bake some bread with the Dough Chief. This was gifted to me to do a review for you. This is the first time I'm using it, and I will tell you that I really liked it. The base has 4 suction cup legs, so when it sits on the counter, it's not going to slide off as it's mixing. You have all your buttons right in front that are really easy to use, and then you have a stainless steel barrel, and inside is a stainless steel kneading knife that you place inside to do your mixing. The spinner right there is right on the bottom, and when you put the bowl on, you just lock it into place with just a slight spin of the bowl. This was really easy to clean. It doesn't say if it's dishwasher safe or not, but it comes with some small utensils. There's a measuring cup, a measuring spoon, egg separator if you wanted to use these. And then this other piece right here, I have no idea what it's for. Maybe you do, but it just reminded me of some fun little lips, so I just wanted to have a little fun in the process. Here is the mixing bowl lid, and right here are your buttons. So on one side is for the mixing and the kneading, and you can set it for 15 minutes, or you can decrease that amount, which I found very useful for my folding and mixing of my sourdough. And then on the other side is a slight temperature increase for fermentation. I didn't need to use the ferment side because I live in Arizona and it's really hot here, but if you live in the northern states in the winter, you would definitely want the ferment side. I added my starter, I added my water, and I just locked that bowl into place. You place on the lid, and I set the first mix timer for about, oh my gosh, maybe 6 minutes just to mix the water and the starter together. I want to show you what it looks like inside. When it's spinning, it'll spin and then it will stop, and then it will spin and then it will stop again. Just a pausing sensation, and it worked really, really well. Now, after that was blended together, I put in my flour and my salt. So sourdough bread is just starter, water, flour, and salt. And I started the mixing process again and let it go just a little bit longer this time. What was really great is normally I have my hands in and it just gets so messy, but look how that's mixing and working it all together. Once I had it all mixed in, then I started to add some inclusions. I just took off that conical little lid on the top, and while it's spinning, I added in some mushroom powder for extra nutrition and a few sesame seeds. You can add other things as well. Inside is your manuals. We have a recipe for pizza dough, pasta dough, and a yeast bread dough. So look here, I have it all mixed together, my inclusions, and it's just the perfect consistency. I was very impressed with it. Now, at this point in time with sourdough bread, you want to let it rest and do stretch and folds to develop that gluten. So I set the mix cycle for about 3 minutes, I think it was, just to do the stretching and the folding and let that gluten develop. And I did that about every half hour for 2 hours. After the 2 hours was up, then I looked at my dough again, and look how smooth and stretchy. I took out that mixing paddle right there in the middle, and I love the consistency of this dough. It is perfect, and it was just the use of the machine that did that. Now I just set it on the counter for about 4 to 5 hours and let it double, and it rose beautifully. Now comes the fun part, and look at all the air and the growth that this dough took place. Now, if you were making a yeast bread, you would go right into shaping this and letting it double in size again and placing it into your oven. With a sourdough bread, I am going to get the amounts that I want for my size of loaves and place it into a baton, I can't remember the names of those little baskets, but it's going to go into my refrigerator. Well, it will continue to rise and it will ferment and develop that sourdough taste. So I am making one larger loaf, and then I'm also going to be making 2 smaller loaves to give for gifts to neighbors and friends. I always do that when I bake bread. Make a little bit extra to give away and share with friends. So I'm shaping it. I'm going to get it into the baton or baton, again, basket, and let it sit overnight. And then in the morning, it's going to go into my cooking utensils and bake out. So Here we are, it's the next morning. I'm going to flip it over onto my parchment paper. I always use parchment paper when I bake. I'm going to do some scoring to let the steam escape. I start out with putting a lid over the top to keep the steam within the bread. Place it into the oven for about 35-40 minutes. Then I take the lid off to let it finish browning, and voila, I'm going to have a gorgeous piece of bread, and it's all with the help of the dough chief. I will tell you, less of a mess. I didn't have the sticky hands touching all my other appliances. It just was a much cleaner process. The dough turned out beautiful and perfect. If you are a bread maker of any type of dough, I highly recommend the Dough Chief. If you have a family member, a daughter who maybe is getting into bread baking, get this for them for their Christmas or birthday. They're going to love it.